Alright, so intermittent fasting is something that I've been doing now for a good few months, probably 6 months or more, and it's been going really well. So I just want to tell you a bit more about it and how it works, why I do it, and yeah, this is just going to be a video about intermittent fasting in general. However, don't worry, it will get interesting, and I guarantee that by the time you finish watching this video, you'll probably want to start intermittent fasting yourself. So I'll start by showing you the view. This is the view in Bansko, Bulgaria. This is just one of the ski slopes, and I'm just here to do some work and some hiking and stuff. But don't worry, this video won't be one of those videos where the title is something informative and then I just go on and ramble and start vlogging. So let's get right to it. Intermittent fasting. Why would you want to do intermittent fasting? Well, firstly, let me tell you what it is. So intermittent fasting is where you eat in specific eating periods during any 24-hour day. So this might look like you eat food between the hours of 12 p.m. and 6 p.m, a 6-hour eating window. Or you could eat in an 8-hour eating window, for example, 10 till 6 or 12 till 8, or however you want to cut it up. But the key is that you only eat for those hours in every day. So you don't have breakfast, you don't have snacks past 6 or 8 p.m, and that's how you run it, that's how you do it. No idea how the insects got on the inside of my lens protector. Anyway, so you would eat in your set eating period or eating window, which might look like 12 till 6, 12 till 8, whatever. And the reason that you would do that is because your body at any point is either in a fasted or a fed state. So when it's in a fasted state, it learns very quickly to use fat for fuel. It burns fat instead of carbohydrates and glucose, which is the primary energy that you would get from eating food. Okay? So when you're in a fasted state, you burn fat. Now what this means, it means a few things, but mainly it means that you can only ever lose fat when you're fasting. So of course most people, 95% of people in the world, are never in a fasted state because they always have 3 meals a day. It takes about between 8 and 10 hours to get into a fasted state, and so most people never reach that, hence why most people carry excess fat on their bodies, or, you know, worst case scenario, they are obese. So by fasting, or by eating food only in a certain period of time during every day, you constantly put your body into a state of ketosis or a fasted state where you're burning fat for fuel. This means that you will be able to stay slim, stay lean, not have any fat on your body, or, you know, have very little body fat. So that's the first benefit, obviously probably the biggest one. The second one is, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, what about my muscles? What about my gains? You know, I need to keep eating in order to maintain my gains, otherwise I will lose muscle. That's not true, because the other benefit, probably the second most important benefit of intermittent fasting, is that when you're in a fasted state, not only does your body burn fat for fuel, but it also massively increases the amount of human growth hormone, HGH, that you are producing. This means that you'll find it easier to build and maintain muscle, you'll find it easier to get stronger, and your body will better utilize the calories that you're actually eating, as well as consuming fat for fuel. So it's a more effective, more efficient way of eating, and you're not going to get weaker. In fact, you're going to get stronger if you do it right. Now, there's a few things I should mention with that. Firstly, you have to eat enough during your eating window. You can't just have 1 meal a day and think that's going to be enough calories, because then you will start to lose weight and become underweight, anorexic, all these other things. And number 2, you need to obviously continue to do some sort of exercise or strength training if you want to maintain your muscles. But the myth that we need to have 3 meals a day and that we need to have breakfast first thing is just that, it's a myth, perpetuated by cereal companies who, you guessed it, make money from selling you breakfast cereal. So of course they want you to think that you need to have breakfast to be big and strong. It's just not true. So it's interesting, it's an interesting thing. There's a lot of studies, lots of science and research behind this one. However, the most benefits you'll just see for yourself. If you actually just do this, you will feel the benefits. You will see yourself losing fat, and maybe even gaining muscle if you're exercising as well. But beyond that, you will feel the third benefit, which in my opinion is the most important and certainly the most useful for me, and that is your mental energy. Okay, so we know that when you eat food, especially high glycemic index or glycemic load food, for example carbohydrates, sugars, things like this, your body produces insulin, which is to counteract or to reduce the amount of sugar in your bloodstream. While it does that, the side effect is that you feel sluggish, you feel slow, your mental capacity is more than halved just after a meal and for the 2 or 3 hours after you've eaten a meal. Meaning that most of us, okay, because as I said, most of us are never in a fasted state, most of us are never functioning at 100% brain power. In fact, most of us are functioning at less than half of what their brains can actually do. And so I discovered this very quickly. You know, when I started intermittent fasting, I found very quickly that my brain was capable of so much more than I was using it for before. And this is just an effect that you will feel instantly. The first day that you skip breakfast, you will feel for the whole morning more alert, more energetic mentally, and maybe even physically. And your cognitive powers, your cognitive abilities will be better. And so for me, obviously I work for myself mainly online. I do things like advertising, writing, digital marketing, things that involve a lot of brain power, a lot of that frontal lobe activity, prefrontal cortex. I find it a lot easier and I get a lot more done, I'm more productive, and it's just better. For a lack of a better word, it's just better. So those are the 3 main benefits for intermittent fasting. Now there's actually more benefits, believe it or not. Before I get into how to actually do it, there are more benefits. It's not just about the mental powers, the strength, the digestion, and the feeling, and the fat loss. It's also about things like your metabolism and things like your body's ability to regenerate cells and heal injuries and recover from exercise. Those things get better and easier as well. So basically, it's a way of hacking how your body functions. It's basically biohacking. Intermittent fasting is biohacking. You're basically turning your body into the most effective machine that you possibly can. And all you're doing to do that, all that you need to do, is change the times that you eat. That's literally it. You don't need to even change what you eat or the diet that you're having. Although you can, and if you combine this with going vegan as well, then you're going to see some even more serious benefits. However, you don't need to go vegan to get the benefits from this. You will feel the effects that I've just described just by changing the times you eat. And so it blows my mind that not more people try this. Anyway, so that's all the benefits, or at least that's the main ones. How you actually do it is a lot simpler. So what you do is you say, right, in any 24-hour period, I will eat any food, between the hours of X and X. Say, for example, I eat between the hours of 12 and 6. 6-hour eating window. Now, sometimes I'll extend that if there's a social situation, if I go out for dinner, for example, or if I have a hike or something strenuous that I need to do, I will likely fuel up for that with breakfast, but you don't need to. So the easiest way of doing it is just literally saying, right, I will eat between 12 and 8 every day. So, Monday to Sunday, every single day of the week, you will only eat between 12 and 8. And by doing that, you get all those benefits that I described. The science behind this, I will try and link to some studies in the description, but you can just Google it yourself. You can just Google intermittent fasting benefits or studies or whatever. You'll find loads of stuff. You will find loads of testimonials and all sorts of things. Now, a few things that I should say about the dangers and risks of this, okay? If you do a very physical job, 8 hours a day, you need fuel, and often the fat that you carry on your body is not enough. So you need a breakfast. If you do a strenuous job like that, if you're a builder, if you're someone who is working physically all day long every day of the week, you can still do this, but you just need to be a bit smarter about how you do it. So because you're being physically active for most of the day, you're going to need more fuel immediately, right? Your fat is not going to be enough because likely you don't have much if you're physically working all the time. So in that case, just change the eating window. You can still do it. Just eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat for example from 6 until 2. 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. And that's still an 8-hour eating window. You still get exactly the same benefits. You're still going to be in the fasted state, but it means that you actually fuel yourself enough for your physical day of work. So don't be silly about this. Don't rush into building brick walls having had no food. But yeah, you can still do it. It doesn't matter what job you do. I know there'll be comments or people with excuses saying like, oh, I can't do this because I do this for a living. I'm a builder, bricklayer, painter. But it's not true. You can just change the eating window that you actually are going to use. And the second thing is, and this is an important one, you need to eat the right stuff and you need to eat enough of it, because if you don't eat enough, you'll be malnourished, and that's bad. I'm sure you can agree that that's bad. So don't starve yourself. That's not what this is about. You're not starving yourself. Your body, you're basically just making the way you digest food more efficient. So eat the same, if not a little bit more than you normally do, or maybe just keep it the same, okay? And just space it out in that eating window. You'll find it's actually a lot easier to do than you think. Most people, you say, oh, you've got to miss breakfast, they go crazy because we've been brainwashed essentially to think that we need breakfast every morning, or that we need 3 square meals a day. But to be honest, that's a luxury that most people in the world don't have. Most people have 1 meal a day, or even sometimes they go a whole day without eating anything. But I'm not saying you should starve yourself. That's not the goal here. The goal is to eat enough calories during the day and enough vitamins and nutrients that you actually can maintain everything. You'll feel just as good as before, if not better. In fact, you definitely will feel better. So another thing, just make sure you have a multivitamin, you're getting your fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. Don't be silly, don't starve yourself, don't deny vitamins and nutrients. All you're really doing, in fact, at the start, I would say don't change anything except the when you eat. And then when you've done that for a few months, then you can start thinking about actually, maybe there's a better diet I could eat as well, right? Maybe the foods I'm eating aren't, the best. And maybe the plant-based diet is the best after all, and you experiment with it, find out for yourself. The reason I went vegan or plant-based is because I am a biohacker. I like tweaking things and seeing how can I feel better, how can I do this faster, be stronger, constantly tweaking things. And so I just thought, right, I'll do an experiment. People are getting good results on the vegan diet, so I'll try it for 30 days. If I don't feel better, I will not continue doing it. If I do feel better, then I'll dive in and make it a part of my life. And obviously what happened is I did feel better, and it's now part of my life. But I didn't know it was going to be like that. It was an experiment. So that is how and why you should start intermittent fasting. Very simple, and I'll go into more depth on this if people are interested. But I just wanted to share this video about how to do it, and that's it. Leave a comment, and if you did like this video, make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about things like this in the future. So go ahead and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the view, and I hope the sound of the water sprinklers wasn't too annoying.